When a student first begins school, the most fundamental skill they will learn is the ability to read. Students will learn through reading and will learn to make meaning through text. What happens if this student suffers from a learning difficulty in reading? What strategies are put in place to ensure each individual doesn't go on unidentified and ultimately end up being left behind the crowd? A student with a reading difficulty suffers in areas relating to phonetic knowledge, comprehension, word recognition, and decoding. These individuals may also be less engaged in reading tasks, less willing to take risks in reading out new words, frustrated with difficult work tasks or discouraged by their lack of success, and less confident in their abilities to read. The solution seems easy. Students in prep should be taught exactly how to understand phonetics, how to comprehend, how to recognize words, and how exactly to decode words. However, over time, the importance of explicitly teaching phonics has been lost in schools. Educators have started to believe that reading is not a skill that needs to be explicitly taught, but a skill that is naturally acquired. Traditional practices, also known as the wait to fail model, relies on waiting for students to have extreme difficulty before providing supportive intervention. This model is detrimental for student literacy development, and for students with reading difficulties, it is far too damaging. Delayed development for reading skills will affect vocabulary growth, alter students' motivations and attitudes towards reading, and lead to missed opportunities to develop comprehension strategies. Research suggests that students who display qualities of poor reading during their first 3 years of school almost never acquire the average level reading skills usually obtained by the end. So why has explicit phonics instruction not been taught to every student? Initially, the argument around this is that students don't need the extra instruction to be able to read. Most students who finish their first year of primary school will have already obtained a strong foundation for reading, but for students who suffer from reading difficulties, being taught this foundation is essential. The Australian curriculum legislates that under the Disability Standards for Education, teachers are to ensure that all students with disabilities can participate in the Australian curriculum on the same basis as their peers, through rigorous, meaningful, and dignified learning programs. Educators have now realised that reading is actually a very complex skill to learn, and that explicit phonics instruction is helpful for all early readers. Why is phonics and phonemic awareness so important? Phonics allows students to read out unfamiliar words using simple sound correspondence and knowledge of letter-sound relationships. As children start to become phonемically aware, they can recognise that speech can be segmented into smaller units. Studies show that children who receive approximately 20 hours of training in phonics do far better in both reading and spelling than those who don't. So, what is the best way to teach phonics so that all students are able to reach their full potential? A balanced approach with a combination of explicit instruction and authentic application activities is the best approach. Every student has different capabilities, and there is no one-size-fits-all program. A balanced approach is crucial to ensure all students are catered for. When using a balanced approach, we must ensure that all educators understand reading development, methods for identifying at-risk students, and the ability to observe and notate the common traits associated with reading difficulties. What are these traits that educators should be aware of? These traits include poor working memory capacity, slow and inaccurate word recognition, poor spelling, difficulties with blending and segmenting sounds and words, and limited spoken vocabulary. Schools have adopted the 3-tier response to intervention model to start early intervention for students who are at risk of failing. The model involves using explicit instruction on the 5 pillars of reading: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. The first tier in the model provides high-quality, explicit instruction to the whole class. Tier 2 involves additional support with differentiated instruction for small groups of students who are at risk of failing. If the first 2 tiers are unsuccessful, individuals are placed in Tier 3 where they are provided with one-on-one intensive intervention. There are multiple ways to authentically assess students for reading and phonics. However, Westwood suggests that the best way to determine students' specific capabilities is by targeting and assessing their individual skills. Westwood recommends the use of isolated skill assessments, including observations, running records, sight vocabulary assessment, checklists, diagnostic testing, decoding and comprehension assessment, interviews, and dynamic assessment. All diagnostic assessments of this type can be accessed online through Spell. What are going to be the best strategies to help students with reading difficulties in our classroom? When selecting resources and programs, it is important that they are evidence-based and supported by reviews. Sound Waves is a multi-sensory program that has been tailored to the Australian curriculum standards and is accredited within literature and by Spell. Sound Waves teaches students the 43 sounds, blending and segmenting for reading, sound to letter correspondence, and letter formation. Soundways is a good starting point for struggling students. Other useful resources and strategies include the use of phonic alphabet charts. These should be displayed around the room for reference during learning, and individuals should be able to access their own copy. Phonemic games and mnemonic devices should be used to remember tricky spelling words. Reading lists of high-frequency words should be created, and students should be allowed to read aloud as many as they can for 1 minute, noting down all of the correctly read words. Doing this repetitively will show each student that they are succeeding and improving, and help to provide students with a positive growth mindset. This will help to prevent failure syndrome and learn helplessness in your classroom. Be sure to implement a home reading program, encourages a positive reading culture, and provide quality reading opportunities. With early intervention and hard work, we can stop students with reading difficulties being left behind.